For those of you that are finding meditation to be confusing, the next couple of minutes should bring some new clarity for you. So consider that almost all meditations that you've ever heard of are all seeking to bring you to another place, to a place of calm, to a place of peace, to a place of some level of spiritual relaxation. Now, when we treat meditation as something, as a project separate from day-to-day life, then where's the value? Do you want to go to a meditative state and then stay there? Or do you want to have the ability to use meditation 24 hours a day in life so that as we live a spiritual, physical life, that we have the benefit of the value of meditation? So when we consider, what does that all mean? So people say, well, you have to breathe and you have to relax, and there's all kinds of exercises. But at the core of meditation is one very simple fact, and that is that when we meditate, the whole purpose is to remove the stress. So what is it that causes the stress? Because once we remove the stress, then we're in that state of spiritual bliss. So when we consider that the stress is brought on by what we're thinking, because take for example, you're working away at some project and you hate it. You just don't like your job, your career, your life, and now you find yourself in a state of stress. Well, how's meditation going to help? Breathing by itself isn't going to do that, because you can try to breathe to calm down, but at best what it's going to do is to bring you to a state where you're removing what you're thinking about, which is ultimately the goal anyways, because if you can't alter your thinking, then you can't alter the state that you're in. Because when you're thinking about something that's stressing you, so for example, like we said, you're working away at something, career, job, life, project, something, and you're finding yourself in a state of stress about it, it's because what you think about what you're doing. So for example, you're digging a hole and now you hate that work. Well, if you thought differently about it, then you could enjoy that job. But when you think that it's negative, then it will be. And so you can see very easily from a simple example like that, that everything that we do is, especially anything that's causing us stress, is related to the thinking that we're using. Now, for those of you who have already seen several of the free mini-series of videos that I've put together on this, you'll know that by seeing everything as being perfect as it is, then you're able to come to a different state instantly. So when you look at something as being problematic, then you're stressed. And when you see something as being perfect as it is, without need for change, then you instantly change the state that you're in. So you can see there's an example of how when we change our thinking, then we change how we feel. And meditation, the end result of meditation, is all about how do we feel. So many of you will have found a situation, try to see if this is true for you, where you know you're stressed, you feel that your heart rate is going, you're stressed, you know you're on the edge of just not feeling good, and then and you might know that, okay, well, if I breathe, then I can relax, but we don't even allow ourselves that breathing because we just don't have that time, that ability, that we're just too stressed to stop and breathe. But even when we, in that state, even when we come to breathe, so now we just stop and the level of stress by itself from the breathing won't go away. What happens is once we recognize that it's what we're thinking that's causing the stress in the first place, then we can deal with what we're thinking by recognizing that if I feel stressed about what I'm thinking, even if I'm not consciously aware of what I'm thinking about in this moment, then I can say, okay, well, whatever I'm thinking is looking at the negative of the situation that I'm in. So I could be sitting in traffic, I could be waiting for somebody to show up, it could be anything, and I'm feeling that my heart rate is increased, I feel stressed, I feel uneasy, then I could just automatically go like, everything right now is perfect as it is. This is exactly how it should be. I'm in this traffic. I'm going to arrive where I need to be, when I need to be, exactly on time. It's going to be perfect. It doesn't matter I said I'd be there 10 minutes ago. I'm going to arrive exactly when I need to. Or the person that I'm waiting for is going to arrive exactly in perfect timing. Once I change my thinking to see that everything is perfect as it is, then I automatically notice that my heart rate improves, that my breathing improves, that my stress level drops. And so I've already started to use meditation in day-to-day life. So now we can say, okay, well, if we're going to meditate 24 hours a day, so what all that means is that we're consciously aware of how we feel. And when we feel stressed, then we can alter our state anytime we choose, any time of the day, any place, anywhere where we are, whether we're just waking up, whether we're just going to sleep, whether in the middle of a meeting, wherever. Because now we're recognizing that what meditation is actually about is changing from a negative thought pattern to a positive thought pattern, or just removing the thoughts altogether by going to a space, everything is perfect as it is. There is nothing to think about. There is nothing to worry about. Now, a lot of these things are uncommon for people. But when we recognize how much we've heard over the years about meditation and all these, it's almost like it's become some form of an Eastern religion that, you've got to do this in a certain way and then you reach this level of spiritual bliss. And then what? Are you going to stay there? Are you going to ignore that you've got a physical reality that you're trying to enjoy? That when we recognize that we've got a spiritual, so mind, physical, body, existence as human beings, and we want to maximize our experience of that. So if our choice is to live in drama, we can do that. But if our choice is to say, okay, well, I have the most power when I'm relaxed. I make my best choices when I'm relaxed. So how do I get to a state of relaxation on demand at any point in time during the day, whenever I want, at night, whenever? And that comes from recognizing that when we're stressed, we're seeing things as being imperfect, and when we're relaxed, then we see it's because we're seeing everything as being perfect exactly as it is. So whether you're sitting at a cottage on a deck overlooking a lake and a sunset and you feel that relaxation, or you're in the middle of a traffic jam and everything is just seems to be going horribly wrong, the moment that we decide that everything is exactly perfect as it is, we're where we need to be, that everything is going to line up exactly how we intended to line up, then we come to a different state. So as practice in your life, so now you've got the background on what meditation actually is all about and how to use it in your day-to-day life, try these exercises. Anytime, doesn't matter when or where, when you're feeling stressed, remember that it starts with that we're thinking negatively about the situation that we're in. And when we can alter that to say, okay, well, let me just drop that, and let me just say, okay, well, maybe this is perfect as it is. We don't have to go into the whole, well, yeah, but perfect doesn't exist and all this. That's all a lot of nonsense from a society that's completely dysfunctional. When we start to look at, say, okay, well, what actually works? Well, if we're going to have a life different than what we've got right now, then we've got to do things differently than we've been doing them. And that starts with considering other alternatives. Now, try it out. When you see that, okay, this works for me, then, okay, well, I don't care what the rest of the world thinks, whether perfection exists or not. I know that when I see the world as being perfect as it is, I feel good. And quite frankly, what matters to me is how do I feel, because how I feel affects my family, affects my friends, affects my health, it affects my world. And so when I can control how I feel, when I can manage how I feel, when I can cause how I feel, then I've made a good start. Because now I'm not going to be the negative person going out in the world disrupting and destroying everybody else's energy. I'm in a good space myself. I'm enjoying my life. I'm able to make conscious, clear decisions based on that I know that I feel good about my life and what I'm doing. Now, remember, there's a lot of these free videos. The whole point of the videos is to provide you with usable exercises, things you can do, new insights into life so that you can use the 24 life ingredients the way that it was intended. We're all born with them, but we forget what they're all about because business, religion, society, education, they all have a purpose for our lives. They all need us to act something for them so that they benefit. What about us? What about how I feel? What about how you feel? That matters. And so when you can put aside what everybody else wants from your life, and when you can see, okay, well, what I need in my life is a level of peace, a level of spiritual bliss, a level of calm that I want on demand when it suits me, then that's the starting point. We go through these videos, make sure that you like them. It helps other people to see them. Make sure that you follow, that you see the new videos as they come out. And you'll find that all these videos, there's no sales content. There's no lot of, well, if you do this, and then, but if you buy this next part, none of that. This is all just free. You get it, use it, and let it be a blessing in your life, that your life is better as a result of being able to understand and use the information that I've put out in this mini-series of videos that deals with everything about the 24 life ingredients. I'm John Verway. I appreciate that you've taken the time to follow this, and I really, truly hope that this brings real value into your life.